open your eyes. Don't sit up yet, listen first. That sound on the wind isn't sheep. It's never entirely sheep, not out here. And one morning, it won't be sheep at all. You won't get a horn, you won't get a warning. You'll just get a very short, very cold silence right before everything goes wrong. Not this morning, though. Probably. Hey, wake up, recruit! Yes, you! Open your eyes, soldier of Rome, and behold your new home. 73 miles of cold, wet stone stretching from one gray coastline to another gray coastline, built specifically so the locals know exactly where civilization stops. You've been posted to Hadrian's Wall. Congratulations. Somewhere in Rome, a senator is sipping wine in 25-degree sunshine, while you wake up in a stone bunk with frost on your eyebrows. Your optio kicks your cot and says the wall needs walking, the fires need lighting, and someone needs to explain why half the granary is missing. Again. I know, truly the most glamorous posting in the entire empire, right after swamp drainage and guarding the emperor's nephew's birthday party. But pardon my speech, Legionary, this is the job. So let's talk about what it actually means to wake up, put on 40 pounds of iron, and spend the day being Rome's answer to a do not enter sign. Because here's the thing nobody puts in the recruitment scrolls. Hadrian's Wall isn't really a wall, it's a message. It's the empire looking north at several very large, very angry, very blue-painted tribes and going, "We're going to build a fence so tall you'll simply lose interest." Genius plan. Slightly less genius when you're the guy standing on top of it at 3 a.m., wondering if that noise in the fog is wind, sheep, or several thousand Picts who did not, in fact, lose interest. So how does a legionary survive a posting at the actual edge of the known world? Historically, you don't relax. The odds aren't stacked against you exactly. They're just permanently, indefinitely inconvenient. Lucky for you, the Roman army has had a few centuries to work out exactly how to make a human being suffer efficiently. So let's walk through a few historically certified methods for surviving a day on the wall. Historically certified fact number 1. You do not just guard a wall. You rotate through it in an endless conveyor belt of misery called a watch schedule. Every few hours, a horn sounds. You climb down from whatever fire you'd finally gotten warm at, and you go stand on a windswept parapet staring at fog for 4 hours straight. Most nights, nothing happens. Nothing happens for weeks. Nothing happens for so long that veteran soldiers start seeing shapes in the mist just to have something to report. And then, one night, something does happen. And the entire point of the last 3 months of nothing was so that you'd still be awake enough to notice. This is the real genius of the wall. It's not really there to stop an army. 16 forts, 17,000 men at peak strength, mile castles every Roman mile, watchtowers between them. The wall isn't a fortress, it's a nervous system. One torch lit on one tower and, in theory, the whole frontier knows within minutes. In practice, half the time the torch gets lit because a guard fell asleep and dropped it. Historically certified fact number 2. You didn't join the army to be a soldier. You joined the army to be a bricklayer with a sword. The wall was mostly built by the legions themselves, actual fighting men laying stone, digging the ditch called the vallum, hauling turf in the western sections before it got upgraded to stone. Somewhere, a recruiting officer told you tales of glory and conquest. Nobody mentioned that your primary weapon for the first 2 years would be a trowel. And when you're not building the wall, you're maintaining it, because the weather here has one setting, spiteful. And it will take your beautiful mortar and turn it into gravel within a single bad winter. So you patch, you repair, you dig out drainage the rain keeps filling back in. This is what conquering the known world gets you. A permanent home improvement project in the coldest province Rome ever bothered to claim. Historically certified fact number 3. Food. You've heard the empire eats well. Olive oil, wine, fresh bread, all that. Forget it. Up here, you're eating hardtack biscuit that could stop a crossbow bolt, salted bacon, cheese that's seen things, and posca, vinegar and water, the official beverage of, we ran out of wine 2 forts ago. On a good day, there's porridge. On a great day, someone traded with the locals for actual meat. And you don't ask too many questions about which animal, or how it died, or why the trader seemed nervous. The upside. Roman logistics are, historically, terrifyingly good. Granaries at every fort, supply roads built specifically so grain barely has to touch mud. The downside, None of that changes the fact that you, personally, are eating a biscuit so dense it could double as wall repair material. All right, pause the marching, pause the misery, because it's time for us to briefly interrupt this transmission from 122 AD. Right, where were we? Ah yes, you, freezing, on a wall, questioning every decision that led here. Historically certified fact, number 4. Discipline. This is where things get properly terrifying, because the Picts on the other side of that wall are, historically, a rumor and a nightmare more than a documented army. Nobody's entirely sure what they call themselves, only that they paint themselves for war and that Rome, an empire that conquered Gaul, Egypt, and half of the known Mediterranean, took one look north of this wall and went, you know, actually, let's just build a very large fence instead. That should tell you everything about how that particular negotiation was going. But the discipline that should actually scare you isn't from the other side of the wall, it's from your own side. Roman military law is not gentle. Punishments range from extra duty to flogging to, in the worst and thankfully rarest cases, decimation, where an entire unit draws lots and 1 in 10 of your own comrades is executed by the other 9, specifically so that cowardice becomes a statistically worse option than facing the enemy. You will never see this happen. You will hear about it exactly once, from a veteran with a very specific look in his eye, and you will suddenly understand why nobody in this army has ever, historically, been late for a watch shift twice. Historically certified fact, number 5. The cold. I need you to understand the cold. You are a soldier drawn from Spain, from Gaul, from Syria, from 100 sun-warmed corners of the empire, and Rome has looked at your file and said, perfect, send him to the one province where the sun is a rumor. Legionaries stationed here wrote home begging for socks. Actual archaeological letters, dug out of the mud at Vindolanda Fort, soldiers politely requesting warmer garments because the local definition of summer was, and remains, a personal insult. You will spend more energy staying alive in the cold than you will ever spend fighting anyone. So here's your actual day, recruit, assembled from every horrible ingredient above. You wake before dawn in a barrack room you share with 7 other men and their combined smell. You drill. You eat a biscuit that has personally offended your teeth. You march to whatever section of wall needs repair and you dig, or haul stone, or patch drainage, hands raw, breath visible, an optio somewhere behind you loudly unimpressed. You eat again. You drill again. And then, as dusk falls and the fog rolls in off the hills like it's got somewhere better to be and changed its mind, you climb the tower steps for night watch, and you stand there, alone with your spear and your dread, staring into gray nothing, waiting to see if tonight is the night the nothing finally moves. And most nights, it doesn't. That's the part nobody tells you before you sign up. It's not a war. It's a waiting room built out of stone, and you are one of thousands of anonymous men standing in it, generation after generation. So that somewhere far south, in warm marble halls, people can go about their lives without ever once thinking about you. Because that's what a wall like this really is in the end. Not a monument to Roman glory, a monument to every soldier whose name we will never know, who froze on some nameless section of stone between 1 mile castle and the next, who never fought a single battle worth writing down, who simply stood and stood and stood until his watch ended and somebody else's began. The Picts never conquered this wall. Rome never truly conquered the Picts. Almost 300 years this line held, not through some single decisive victory, but through the sheer accumulated weight of ordinary, exhausted men, refusing to walk away from a very cold rock in a very cold rain. Eventually, the legions left. Rome fell, or wandered off, or simply forgot why it was here, and the wall stayed. It's still standing in pieces right now, while you and I are having this conversation. Sheep graze over sections of it, tourists take photographs, and somewhere under that turf are the boot prints of a few 100,000 men whose entire contribution to history was showing up, being cold, and not running. So next time you complain about your Monday, spare a thought for the recruit who woke up on Hadrian's wall, put on 40 pounds of iron in the sleet, and did it again the next day, and the day after that, for 20 years, for an empire that never once wrote down his name. Thanks for watching.